Hello friends, welcome once again to the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep, formerly known as Grade Up. Now friends, BYJU'S Exam Prep is the most comprehensive app for all the examinations, including CAT and other MBA entrance examinations. Now here at BYJU'S, we provide our students with the end-to-end preparation so that they can basically achieve their desired goals. All right. Now, friends, I am Gourav Gupta and I once again welcome all of you to our next session in the ongoing series of Algebra. Now, before this session, I have already taken 3 sessions on Algebra. I have taken 1 session on functions yesterday where we basically discussed the different classification of functions based on the correspondence. Like we have discussed different functions having correspondences like one-to-one function, many-to-one function, on-to function, and into function with their different combinations. All right. Now this is the second session in the series of functions. So yesterday we have taken a session on functions, and this is the second session, the continuation session on functions, where I'll be discussing the symmetry based functions like even and odd functions, and some other functions which are based on applications like linear functions, quadratic functions, 3-degree functions, logarithmic function, modulus function, exponential functions, and so on. Now, with the discussion of these functions, with the discussion of these different names that I have taken, I'll also be discussing a little bit about the graphs, the plotting of graphs of these basic functions. So friends, whatever I'll be teaching you in today's session will be helpful if I'll talk about the subsequent sessions which are related to functions and graphs, especially the questions which comes on the graphs of these functions. All right. So please attend this lecture as well as the subsequent lectures. And if you like this lecture, please do press the like button. Please do share this lecture with your friends, with your family, so that they'll be able to learn these concepts, and also do subscribe our channel. All right. So let's start with this, or basically let's continue with functions where we have left yesterday. Okay. So if I talk about the symmetry, on the basis of symmetry, the functions can be classified in 2 types of functions: even functions and odd functions. Now friends, these even functions and odd functions has nothing to do with even and odd numbers. Okay, so even and odd numbers are a separate thing. This is even and odd functions. All right, so let's talk about even and odd function one by one with some of their properties. Okay, so even function. Now a function f a to b, this we have already seen. So let's come to the main part. It is called an even function if f of minus x is equal to f of x. All right. Now, obviously ऐसे तो समझ में नहीं आएगा. So let's take an example for this. Okay. So if I look at this example, f of x is equal to x square. Now, if you'll calculate f of minus x, now how to calculate f of minus x? Wherever you have x in this function, replace it by minus x. All right. So the function was f of x equals x square. So f of x will be equal to the square of minus x. Now, if I'll calculate the square of minus x, we'll simplify this. It will become x square. So now you can observe in this case that f of x was x square and f of minus x is also x square, and they both are equal. So f of minus x is again equal to f of x. So we can say that this type of function will be an even function. All right, fine about the definition of this function. But what is the graphical importance of even function? Now, if I plot the graph of an even function, it will always be symmetric about y-axis. All right. So we have y-axis, the vertical axis. Okay. So if you'll plot the graph of any even function, then the graph, the portion of the graph on the left-hand side of y-axis will be exactly same. It will be a replica of the portion of graph which is on the other side of y-axis. All right. So the graph will be completely, totally symmetrical about y-axis. All right. So अगर मैं इस ग्राफ को plot करता हूं y equal to x square or f of x equal to x square. So some of you would know that the graph of a quadratic function is a parabola. Okay, so if you don't know about this, so let's just feed some values. So if I'll put x as 1, so x square will also be equal to 1. So for at x equal to 1, the value of y will be 1. At x equal to 2, the value of y will be 4. At x equal to 3, the value of y will be 9, and so on. Now, if you look at the left hand side of the axis, good evening everyone. Good evening Krupa, good evening Ruchi, good evening Monish. It's good to see all of you in every session. So if I'll go towards the left hand side of these axes, at x equal to -1, the value of x square will be equal to +1. At x equal to -2, it will be +4. At x equal to -3, it will be +9. So as you can observe with these values only, I can see that, or I can say that the graph on the right hand side of y-axis is exactly the same on the left hand side of y-axis. So it can be said that it is symmetrical about y-axis. If I'll join these points with a curve, so graph roughly कुछ ऐसा बनेगा. Okay, pardon my drawing. All right, so this will be the graph of y equal to x square. All right, fine. And you can see that it is symmetric about y-axis. So every even function, the graph of every even function will be symmetrical about y-axis. All right, now let's take some other examples of even functions. So if I look at some other examples of even function, so f of x is equal to x raised to the power 4. All right, this is an example of even function. So you just take any even power of x, so x raised to the power 6, x raised to the power 8, all these functions will be even functions. All right, also if you will consider f of x equal to cos x. All right, cos x, if you'll consider this function, so I can say that this is also symmetrical about y-axis. So अगर मैं इसका rough graph plot करता हूं cos x का, or if you understand trigonometric functions, so f of x is cos x, so f of minus x will be equal to cos of minus x, which will again be equal to cos of x. So cos of negative x is equal to cos x. So I can say that in this case, f of x is equal to f of minus x. So this is an even function. Now the graph of cos x on the right hand side, it is something like this. Okay. And on the left hand side, it is again the replica of whatever we have seen on the right hand side. And you can see that this is completely symmetric about y-axis. So this is also an even function. All right. So you can write a lot of examples of even functions by your own. Okay. Now let's move our focus to the next type of function based on symmetry, the odd function. Okay. Now in even function, I'll write it again on this page. In the even function, the condition was f of minus x should be equal to f of x. All right. In case of odd function, f of minus x should be equal to minus of fx. All right. So f of minus x should be equal to minus of fx. So if I'll take an example of an odd function, so look at this example, f of x is equal to x cube. Okay, f of x is equal to x cube. So if I'll calculate f of minus x, it will be equal to minus x cube minus x whole cube. And since the power is odd, it will become negative of x cube. All right. Now if you'll compare these two functions, f of x and f of minus x, this was f of x, which is x cube, and f of minus x is minus of x cube. You can say that f of minus x is equal to negative of f of x. And that satisfies the condition for an odd function. And hence, I can say that this function is an odd function. All right, fine. Now, guys, if we talk about the graph of this function, f of x is equal to x cube. Okay, so on the right hand side, I have drawn rough graph of x cube. Okay, now you can say that if you will consider only the right hand side of the y-axis, which I have highlighted with red color, okay, so what will happen is this portion will be first of all reflected along x-axis, right? And then, so this is reflected along x-axis, and then further it will be reflected along x-axis. Okay, so first of all, I have done the reflection along y-axis. I'll draw it again. So look at this part, the portion that I've highlighted with red color. Okay, now if I'll reflect this part along y-axis, so it will become like this. Okay, the portion that I have made with blue color. All right, now further, if this portion is reflected again along x-axis, so I will obtain this part of the curve. All right, so the graph of an odd function is basically a double reflection, first along the y-axis and then along the other axis. So I can say that the graph of an odd function will always be symmetric about origin. Okay, so graph of an odd function can be said to be symmetric about the origin, this point. Okay, so graph of even function was symmetric along y-axis. The graph of odd function will be symmetric about origin. Am I clear? Okay. Now looking at, okay, now Krupa will see this function. You are asking this function is not applied on quadratic equations or not? No, Krupa. So even and odd functions will keep them separate with the quadratic equations. Okay, quadratic function or quadratic equation, whatever it is, will keep them separate because they show different types of properties. All right. So in any function, if you have f of minus x equal to f of x, it will be an even function. If it is f of minus x equals minus of fx, this will be an odd function. So I'll take some general examples and we'll test them if they are even or odd functions. Okay? So just wait for a few more minutes and you will get to understand a lot of things further. Okay? So if I look at the other examples of odd functions, so you can say that y equal to f of x equals x. You can take x as an odd function. X cube will be an odd function, x raised to the power 5 will be an odd function, and so on. So any odd power of x will give you an odd function. Also, f of x equals sine of x, tan x. Both these functions will again be odd functions. All right, fine. Because sine of minus x will be minus sine x. Similarly, tan of minus x will be minus tan x. All right, so this will be other examples of odd functions. Okay, okay. Now we'll be looking at the combination of these functions in these properties. Okay, so let's understand some of the properties which are related to even and odd functions. Okay, now we'll take them one by one. So number one, if I will add two even functions, please don't confuse it with even and odd numbers. This is totally different. Okay, so if I'm adding two even functions, can you tell me what will be the result? Come on, what type of function will I get? Will I get an even function or will I get an odd function? Come on. So you may write this answer in the chat box. Okay, meanwhile I'm solving it slowly. So I'm considering two functions, two separate functions which are even functions. So let's say fx is an even function and another function is gx, which is also an even function. Okay, now since fx and gx both are even functions, so I can say that f of minus x will be equal to fx. Also, g of minus x will be equal to gx. Okay, so I have taken two separate functions which are both even functions. So fx and gx both are even functions. So since they are even functions, I have written like below them the property that they will show. Okay, Now if I'll consider another function which is the sum of these two given functions. Let's say hx is another function which is the sum of fx and gx. So basically I'm talking about the function hx which is the sum of two even functions. Okay, so let us understand कि hx का nature क्या होगा. hx, will it be an even function or will it be an odd function? Wonderful. So people, Monish, Kalavati, Sagnik, Krupa and Ruchi, all of you have given an answer. Now we'll have to see if this is a correct answer or not. ठीक है? So hx लिख दिया है मैंने, fx plus gx. Now I'll calculate h of minus x. Okay, now h of minus x will be f of minus x plus g of minus x. All right. Now f of minus x is also equal to fx. So I'll replace it with fx, and g of minus x being an even function is equal to gx. Okay. So now I can see that h of x is equal to h of minus x. Since h of x is equal to h of minus x, I can say that this function is an even function. Okay, so sum of two even functions will result in an even function. All right, ठीक है, आगे चलते हैं. So I am erasing whatever is there on the screen and look at the second one. If I'll add two odd functions, okay, so now all of you may write your answer. So sum of two odd functions, what will be the result? Meanwhile, I'll solve it. So again, I'll consider two functions, fx, which is an odd function, also gx, which is again an odd function. All right. So since fx is odd, so f of minus x will be equal to minus of fx. G of minus x will be equal to minus of gx. All right. Now hx, another function, a third function, which is the sum of fx and gx, which are two odd functions. So hx and gx are odd functions. So h of minus x will become f of minus x plus g of minus x. All right. Now f of minus x, since it is an odd function, I can write it as minus of fx minus of gx. Okay, and this can be written as negative common. So only Krupa has given the answer till now. So negative common liya. So in the brackets I will have f of x plus g of x. Okay, and this can be written as negative of, now what was f of x plus g of x? It was hx. So I'll replace it with hx. So now I have proved that h of minus x is equal to minus of hx. So what will be the nature of hx? What will be odd function plus odd function? Odd function plus odd function will result you in another odd function. Okay, so if you want to look at other examples of odd functions, so you can take one odd function x cube and add it with another odd function x raised to the power 5, and this resulting function will always be an odd function. All right, am I clear? So Monish, Krupa, both of you have given a correct answer. Wonderful. Now friends, let's talk about the third case, an even function plus an odd function. Okay, so meanwhile you may write your answer in the chat box and I'll do the calculation. So again, I'm considering a function which is an even function and another function gx which is an odd function. Okay, since fx is even, so f of minus x will be equal to f of x. Gx is odd function, so g of minus x will be equal to minus of gx. Taking another function hx, which is the sum of these two functions. So hx is equal to f of x plus g of x. Okay. Now calculating h of minus x, and we'll see if this is equal to minus of hx or hx. Okay. So h of minus x will be equal to f of minus x plus g of minus x. Okay, so I'm getting the answers. Let's see how many of you are correct. Okay, so h of minus x मैंने लिख दिया है. It is f of minus x plus g of minus x. Now f of x was even function, so f of minus x can be written as f of x. but g of x was an odd function. So g of minus x will be minus gx. All right. Now guys, tell me, is this part equal to hx? Is this part equal to hx? No, this is not equal to hx. Also, is this part equal to is this part equal to minus of hx? No, this is also not equal to minus of hx. Okay, so this part is not equal to hx. This part is also not equal to minus of hx. Okay, so I can say that this particular function is not showing the property of even or odd function. Okay, so we can say that the sum of an even function and an odd function will neither be even nor be odd. It will be neither even nor odd. ठीक है, तो ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि कोई ना कोई फंक्शन हमेशा even होगा या फिर odd होगा. There are lots of functions which are neither even nor odd. Okay, so the sum of an even function and an odd function will neither be even nor be odd. No, Sejal, it will not depend on the function. You take any even function, any odd function, add these two functions, the resulting function will be neither even nor odd. All right, Sejal. Okay, fine. So it will depend on functions, but it will not depend on, definitely it will depend on nature, but you will always get the same result if you'll add an even function and an odd function. Okay, so sum of even function and odd function will be neither even nor odd. Okay, so just to basically show you some examples of functions which are neither even nor odd. Okay, so let's say f of x. So I'll take a combination. Let's say x square plus x cube. Okay, so fx is x square plus x cube. Now I'll calculate f of minus x, which will be x square minus x cube. Okay, so f of minus x is x square minus x cube. Now this value of f of minus x is not equal to fx. Okay, also it is not equal to minus of fx. So this function is neither even nor odd. Okay, short form लिख रहा हूं मैं NENO, neither even nor odd. All right, so there are plenty of functions which are neither even nor odd. Okay, so if you want to create these type of functions, take one even function, take one odd function and add them. The resulting function will be neither even nor odd. Okay, fine. Now this is about the symmetry of functions, or the functions which are based on symmetry. Even functions symmetrical about y-axis, odd functions are symmetric about origin. Okay, now let's talk about some specific type of functions which are going to help you a lot in future. Okay, now I'll also be talking about the graphs of these functions, a little bit about graphs of these functions, not in detail, because in detail I'll be talking about graphs in the subsequent classes. Okay, so there will be a separate lecture on graphs, you don't worry. Okay, now today we are going to talk some basics about some functions and their graphs. Okay, so one such function, the first type is a very basic function, a linear function. Okay, now if I'll consider any linear function, let's say y is equal to 4x plus 7. Okay, y equal to 4x plus 7. All right, now if I want to plot the graph of this function, the graph of this function, linear function, will always be a straight line. हमेशा एक straight line होगा. ठीक है, now straight line है, so to plot this graph entirely, I just need 2 points. 2 points अगर मिल जाएंगे, I can draw a straight line joining these 2 points. All right, so I can obtain the first point by putting x equal to 0. So x को 0 put किया तो y का value कितना आ जाएगा 7. So if I'll put x equal to 0, the value of y will be 7. Let's mark the point on the coordinate axis. So x equal to 0, y equal to 7. Let me change the color of the pen. So this will be the point. Okay, x equal to 0, y equal to 7. Now to obtain the second point, I'll substitute y as 0. So if I'll substitute y as 0, the value of x I'll obtain will be minus 7 upon 4. Now minus 7 upon 4 will be lying somewhere here, okay, on the left hand side of the x-axis. So this is minus 7 upon 4. All right, fine. So now you can join these 2 points, making a straight line like this. Okay, so this will be the graph of this function y equal to 4x plus 7. All right, so what we saw in this case, in any linear function, the graph will always be a straight line. All right, so it will always be a straight line. Now to plot the graph of a straight line, you just need 2 points. So these 2 points can be obtained once by putting x equal to 0, and next is by putting y equal to 0. Now you can put some other values as well. You can put x equal to 1 and get the value of y. So if I'll put x equal to 1, the value of y will be 11. If I'll put x equal to 2, the value of y will be equal to 15, and so on. So just need 2 points to plot a straight line. This was a linear function. Okay? Now let's talk about a quadratic function in general. Okay? So quadratic function, as you all know, the general expression is ax square plus bx plus c. Okay? So any function of this type having degree 2, highest degree of x being 2, will be called as a quadratic function. Okay? Now, in general, the graph of a quadratic function will always be a parabola. Okay, now we have seen one example of one of the quadratic functions, f of x equals x square. The graph was passing through origin and it was something like this. Okay, so we have seen the parabolic curve. Now let's talk about general way of plotting a quadratic function. Okay, now I'll take some specific examples only, because to get into the very depth of all these graphs, we need to understand the shifting of graph. All right, so shifting of graph, reflection of graphs, which I just mentioned that I'll be taking it in the lecture of graphs. ठीक है, तो आज in depth नहीं जाएंगे, आज सिर्फ हम ऊपर ऊपर से पढ़ाई करेंगे. ठीक है, so how to plot basic graph of a quadratic function. Okay, so I'm taking a function y equal to f of x as in the factorized form. So let's say it is x minus 2 into x plus 3. Okay, x minus 2 into x plus 3. Now what will be the roots of this quadratic expression? The roots of this quadratic expression will be 2 or minus 3. ठीक है, so all of you have done quadratics. Okay, so the roots of this expression will be plus 2 or minus 3. Now what do you mean by roots of a quadratic function? The roots of a quadratic function are the values of x at which the graph will intersect x-axis. So these are the values at which graph will intersect x-axis. So in this case, the graph will intersect at x equal to 2 and x equal to minus 3. All right, this is one thing. Okay, so we can always plot if we are given the quadratic expression in the factorized form. ठीक है, अगर factorized form में नहीं दिया हुआ, वो हम बाद में देखेंगे क्या करना है उसका. ठीक है, okay, so now I have obtained the roots. Okay, now passing through these 2 points, I can make 2 different types of parabola. One parabola can be an upward opening parabola in general, and another parabola that I can draw can be a downward opening parabola, something like this. Okay, something like this. All right, now in this case, which type of parabola should be considered? Okay, now upward opening parabola or downward opening parabola depends on the value of a. In this expression ax square plus bx plus c, it depends on the value of a, or basically not on the value of a but the sign of a. So if a is positive, if the sign of a is positive, then the graph will be an upward opening parabola. Please note it down. So if a is positive, the graph will always be an upward opening parabola. And if A is negative, then the graph will be a downward opening parabola. All right. Now in this expression that is given here, what will be the value of A? What will be the value of A? Come on. Will the value of A be positive or will it be negative? I want these answers in the chat box. What will be the value of A? Will it be a positive or a negative number? If you will multiply these two, if you will defactorize it, अभी तो factorized form में दिया हुआ है. So if you'll multiply x minus 2 and x plus 3, Monish, wonderful, you have given me the value of A. I just needed the sign of A. So in this case, you just see that x and x will get multiplied, resulting in x square, and the sign of x square will be equal to a positive number. Okay. So in this case, the graph will be an upward opening parabola because the value of A is positive. Okay. So out of these two graphs that I have drawn, I'll be considering the graph which is red in color. That means an upward opening parabola. All right. Am I clear? So this is how we draw the graphs of quadratic expressions in general. Okay. I'll quickly take another example. So let's say y is equal to x plus 2 into x plus 5. I have this as the graph. Okay. This is the function. So the roots of this expression will be minus 2 and minus 5. So the graph will be intersecting x-axis at 2 points which are minus 2 and minus 5. Since the sign here, the sign of x square is positive, so again this will be an upward opening parabola, something like this. All right. Okay. Taking quick one more example, y equal to minus of x plus 3 into x minus 4. Okay. Now in this case, the roots are minus 3 or plus 4. So the graph will intersect x-axis at minus 3 and plus 4. All right. Now, in this case, the sign of x square will be a negative number. So this graph will be a downward opening parabola and it will be something like this. All right. Am I clear? Yes or no? Come on, give me an acknowledgement, all of you. Are you understanding what I am trying to teach? Yes or no? Come on. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next type of function, which is a cubic function. Now, cubic function, as we have seen quadratic, so it will be in the general form of ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d. Okay. Now, again, we'll see the graph of this cubic function. All right. So let's say the graph or the expression is y equal to x minus 2, x minus 3, and x plus 2. All right. Now again, like the previous function, I'll be calculating the roots, which will be 2, 3, and minus 2. So I'll mark these points 2, 3. Oh, wait. I'll change this example because these 2 points are very near and you'll not be able to understand the graph. So I'm changing the function x plus 3 into x minus 1 into x minus 6. Okay. So let's say this is the expression. All right. Now the roots of this cubic expression will be minus 3, plus 1, and plus 6. These are the three roots. I'll quickly mark these 3 points: minus 3, plus 1, and plus 6. Okay. Now let's understand what will be the graph of this function. So in this case, the value of A is positive. The value of A is positive. So from the right hand side, from the rightmost part, it will start from a point which is above x-axis. It will start from above x-axis like this. So we'll start it like this. At x equal to 6, the value will become 0 and the graph will intersect x-axis. It will go down, will come back again and intersect the x's at x equal to 1. Again, it will go upwards and will come down and will intersect x-axis at x equal to 3, and then it will keep on going downwards like this. Okay, and right side में ये ऊपर जाता रहेगा and it will go up till plus infinity on the right hand side and minus infinity on the left hand side. Okay, so this will be the graph, the rough graph of this given cubic expression. All right. Now यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? The value of a was positive. So on the rightmost region, it started with positive value. It started from above x-axis. If the value of a would have been negative, then it would have started from below the x-axis. All right. So I'll take an example for that as well. So let's say y is equal to minus x plus 3 into x plus 1 into x minus 3. Okay. Now the roots of this cubic expression will be minus 3, minus 1 and plus 3. These are the roots. Since the value of a is negative, so from the rightmost side, it will start with a negative value. So it will start from below the x-axis. So it will start from there downwards. It will cross x-axis at x equal to 3. It will go above x-axis, again will come back, and it will intersect at x equal to 1, will go down and will come back again and will intersect x-axis at x equal to minus 3, and it will keep on going upwards on the left hand side. So on the left hand side, its value will go up till plus infinity. On the right hand side, the value will go up till minus infinity. Okay, so this is how we plot the rough graph of a cubic function. Similarly, you can plot the graph of 4-degree equations, 5-degree, 6-degree, and so on. So if I'll keep on increasing the number of brackets, okay, then it will be very easy for you to plot all these graphs. So you can take it as a general way of plotting graphs of n degree, which are given in factorized form. Okay, factorized form is very important for such graphs, right? Okay, now let's move on to the next thing. A reciprocal function f of x is equal to 1 upon x, right? अब इसका ग्राफ प्लॉट करना है. So first of all, obviously the value of x cannot be equal to 0. Okay, the value of x can be a positive number, it can be a negative number. So let's first of all talk about when x is positive. Okay, now here y equal to 1 upon x is the expression. Okay, now if x will be a positive number, then 1 upon x का sign भी positive होगा. 1 upon x will also be a positive number, and hence I can say that y will also be a positive number. Okay, so for positive values of x, the value of y are positive. So that means in this case, the graph will be there strictly in the first quadrant. Okay, so if x is positive, then the graph will remain in the first quadrant because y is also positive. If x is a negative number, then 1 upon x will also be a negative number, and hence y will also be a negative number, and hence the graph will lie in the third quadrant. Okay, so when x is positive, graph will be in first quadrant. When x is negative, the graph will be in third quadrant. That's it. These are the two quadrants in which the graph will be lying. Okay, so graph will not be present in second and fourth quadrant. ठीक है, चलो अब values देखते हैं. Now x positive है, so x equal to 1. So if x is equal to 1, the value of y will also be equal to 1. If x is equal to 2, the value of y will be half. Then it will be 1 upon 3, 1 upon 4, 1 upon 5, 1 upon 6, and so on. The value will keep on decreasing, but it will never be equal to 0. x की कोई भी कितनी भी बड़ी वैल्यू पुट कर दो, the value of y will keep on decreasing. 0 के पास जाती रहेगी वैल्यू, but वो कभी भी 0 के इक्वल नहीं होगी. ठीक है, so the graph will keep on going near to the x-axis, right? Now if I look at other values of x, let's say x equal to 1 by 2. At x equal to 1 by 2, the value of y will be 2. At 1 by 3, it will be 3. 1 by 4, it will be 4, and so on. So it will show the same nature as it was showing near x-axis. So the value of y will keep on increasing, but x का value 0 नहीं हो सकता, so again it will never touch y-axis. Okay, let us understand this again. So the right hand side वाले dots जो मैंने बनाए हैं, if x will keep on increasing, the value of y will keep on decreasing, and the value of y can never be equal to 0 for any big value of x. Similarly, on the other hand, if I will keep decreasing the value of x, then the value of y will go up. Okay, and this will be the graph. And since x 0 nahi ho sakta, okay, so the graph will never touch y-axis. So the rough graph of this function will be something like this. All right, it will keep on going near to x-axis and y-axis on both sides, okay, but it will never touch any of these axes. Okay, fine. So this is the portion of the graph in the first quadrant. All right, now guys, tell me one thing, ये जो graph है y equal to 1 upon x, is it an even function or an odd function? I'll wait for your response, all of you. Y equal to 1 upon x, just test this function if it is even or odd and post it in the chat box quickly. Okay, now this function f of x is equal to 1 upon x. If I'll calculate f of minus x, this will come out to be 1 upon minus x, or minus 1 upon x, or minus of fx. Okay, so yes, I can say that this is an odd function. अब odd function की हमने एक property देखी थी, good Sagnik, odd function की हमने एक property देखी थी, that odd function is symmetric about origin. Okay, so in the third quadrant, the graph will be copied from the first quadrant. Okay, since it will be symmetric about origin, so the graph in the third quadrant will be like this. Okay, so whatever I have drawn now on the screen, this is the complete graph of y equal to 1 upon x. Okay, am I clear? Give me a big yes or a no. All right, I hope all of you are enjoying this. Now, Krupa, this was an odd function, so I've just proved that. Okay, Krupa? Okay, so Krupa, this is the method that you can use to find out if the function is odd or if it is even. Okay, ठीक है. Now let's move on to the next function, logarithmic function. A function like which is a little difficult to understand, ठीक है, which is a little difficult to digest. Okay, now we all don't like log functions. We don't like the chapter of logarithms. Okay, but हमें तो देखना ही है, ठीक है. So log के बारे में कुछ चीजें पहले understand कर लेते हैं. Let us understand a few things about logs. Okay, now if I talk about log functions, talking about the domain of this log function. Okay, so first of all, domain मतलब x की क्या वैल्यू हो सकती है, ठीक है ना. So domain of this function, now y equal to log of x is defined only for positive values of x. Okay, so log function is defined only for positive values of x. Okay, so I can say that the domain in this case will be all positive real numbers, or you can write it like 0 to infinity. 0 is not included, right? So log function is defined only when x is a positive number. ठीक है? Now x cannot be 0. So x की value 0 नहीं हो सकती, x की value negative नहीं हो सकती. So this graph will not be present in any of these quadrants because x cannot be negative, right? Also, since x cannot be 0, the graph will not touch y-axis also. बिकॉज अगर वो y एक्सिस को टच करेगा तो दैट मीन्स x का वैल्यू 0 है. So the graph will also not be touching y axis. So the graph may be present in first and the fourth quadrant. Alright, so this is one basic thing about log functions. Okay, now if you understand log functions, the value of log 1 is equal to 0. So at x equal to 1, the value will be equal to 0. Okay, so let me erase a few things. So log of 1 is equal to 0. So the graph will intersect x axis at x equal to 1. Okay, now if you will increase the value of x, the value of log x will keep on increasing. So I'll draw a rough graph of log function. So above x-axis it will be like this, and below x-axis the values will keep on decreasing. Okay, the values will keep on decreasing, but it will never touch y-axis. Okay, so this will be a rough graph of a log function. All right, this will be a rough graph of log function. Am I clear? Okay, great. Now let's talk about the next function, an exponential function. So exponential function means a raised to the power x. Okay, so a is constant here, so I'll assume any value of a. Let's say f of x is equal to 2 raised to the power x. Okay, so let's plot the graph of this function, and using this you will get an idea about the general shape of this graph, right? Now the values of x can be positive, the values of x can be negative. Yes, 2 raised to the power minus 2 is defined, 2 raised to the power 0 is also defined, 2 raised to the power any positive number is also defined. Okay, but can you tell me any value of x? Can you tell me any value of x in this case for which y is negative? No, for no value of x, the value of y will be negative. 2 raised to the power anything, कुछ भी डाल दो, y कभी भी negative नहीं आएगा. It will be a number greater than 1. It will be a number which is like between 0 and 1. Okay, so y का value कभी भी 0 नहीं होगा and y का value कभी भी negative number नहीं होगा. Okay, Gajodhar is asking, sir, for the function 1 upon x, the graph which you plotted, was that the only... Yes, Gajodhar. So, Gajodhar, understand one thing. If you are given a particular function, then there will be a unique graph of that particular function. ऐसा नहीं है कि दो अलग-अलग टाइप के ग्राफ हो सकते हैं, right? Okay? All right. चलो आगे चलते हैं. So, I was saying that for any value of x, the value of y will not be 0. Also, the value of y will not be any negative number. ठीक है? So y 0 नहीं हो सकता, y negative नहीं हो सकता. Right? So that means the graph will not be present in these two quadrants. Okay? Now if I'll take different values of x को 0 put किया. So when x is equal to 0, what will be the value of y? 2 raised to the power 0, it is 1. So this will be the point at which the graph will intersect y-axis. Okay? Now if I'll keep on increasing the values of x, the values of y will be 2 raised to the power 1, 2 raised to the power 2, 2 raised to the power 3, and 2 raised to the power 4, and so on. So there will be an exponential increase in the values of y, and the graph will go something like this. Okay, on the right hand side, right? Now on the left hand side, if I'll take different values of x, let's say I'll take x as minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. The values of y will be 2 raised to the power minus 1. 2 raised to the power minus 1 is 1 upon 2, then 1 upon 4, 1 upon 8, 1 upon 16, and so on. So with x decreasing, the value of y will also decrease. All right, so it will go near to x-axis, but as we know, it will not touch x-axis because y cannot be equal to 0. Okay. Yes, Krupa, y cannot be a negative number. This is what I have mentioned. So in this case, the value of y will never be a negative number. Okay. So y की value negative नहीं होगी. So that is why I have mentioned that the graph will not be present in third and fourth quadrant. Okay. So this will be a rough graph of 2 raised to the power x, an exponential function. All right. Okay. Now moving ahead and looking at the last function, the modulus function. Okay. So we have a function y equal to modulus x. Now let's understand the definition of modulus function. Now modulus function की simple सी definition होती है that it will be equal to x when x is greater than equal to 0. But it will be equal to minus x when x is less than 0. ठीक है. अब modulus function करता क्या है? Modulus function will remove the negative sign and will give you the final positive output. Okay. So why I have defined modulus function like this? Simple reason, when x is positive, the value of mod x will be equal to x. But when x is a negative number, now let's say x is minus 5. Alright, and you want to calculate the modulus. Now modulus का मतलब क्या है? The result should be a positive number. So obviously I cannot erase negative sign in front of minus 5. I have to use some arithmetic operator. So if I want to make a negative number, if I want to convert a negative number into a positive number, what I'll do is I'll put a negative sign in front of it. So negative of negative number will be a positive number. All right. So this is yes, Gajodhar, there is a possibility where two different functions would be asked in a combined manner. So right now we are doing the basics of all these functions, but like I mentioned in the subsequent classes, I will be taking a lot of things which will increase the difficulty level, which will be the combination of different functions also. Okay. All right. So why I have written negative x? Because x was already a negative number. So putting a negative sign in front of a negative number will make it positive. Okay. So this is how we can define modulus x as modulus x is equal to x when x is greater than equal to 0, and it will be equal to minus x when x is less than 0. Okay. Now let's plot the graph. So when x is greater than equal to 0, when x is a positive number, इसमें क्या होगा? So the graph, कौन सा वाला graph consider करेंगे हम? First वाला graph, y equal to x. So when x is greater than or equal to 0, the graph will be y equal to x. So x अगर 1 होगा, y भी 1 होगा. X अगर 2 होगा, y will also be 2. For 3, it will be 3 and so on. So these will be the points. At x equal to 0, y will also be 0. So the graph on the right hand side of y axis will be like this. Okay. Now let's look at when x is less than 0. So the graph is y equal to minus of x. Okay. Graph क्या है? Y equal to minus x. Now when x is minus 1, the value of y will be plus 1. So the point will be this one. When x is minus 2, the graph will be, the value of y will be plus 2. At minus 3, value of y will be plus 3. At minus 4, it will be plus 4, and so on like this. So on the left hand side, it will be a straight line, but an inverted one. Okay. So this will be the final graph of y equal to modulus x. Yes, Neeraj, it will be in first and second quadrant. Okay. Now quickly tell me, all of you, if this function is an even function or an odd function. अब ये तो ग्राफ देख के ही बता सकते हो सब लोग. You can tell this particular thing just by looking at the graph if this function is an even function or an odd function. Come on. So give me an answer. There is a little lag here. Okay. So I'm waiting for your answers. Let's see how many of you can post their answers. Yes, Neeraj, it is a mirror image, but mirror image किसमें होता था? So which graph was symmetric about y-axis? So even functions का graph, the graphs of even functions are symmetric about y-axis. So I can say that this is another example of an even function. So modulus x is an even function. Yes, my dear friends. So Sagnik, Monish and Krupa, wonderful answer. Great. Okay. So friends, that's all from my side for the day. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture. Okay. Now, in my next session, I'll be coming up with some in-depth analysis and some questions on functions, and after which I'll be looking at how to plot graphs of different functions. Now, today we have seen some basic functions, but in the session of graphs, I will be taking up different types of functions and will be plotting their graphs. All right. Now, guys, if you like this session, please do press the like button. Share this session with your friends. Do comment in the comment section and subscribe this channel. All right. Now, this is the schedule that we run on YouTube channel of BYJU'S exam prep for the entire week. So you may note down this schedule so that you can not miss any lecture. Now you can have all free lectures at one place. Just look at the link which is given in the description of this session. Now, friends, we are starting a new batch for CAT 2021. This is a crash course, okay, a 2 months crash course, which is going to start from coming Sunday, okay. Now, in this batch, we'll be finishing up with all the concepts which will be used in CAT 2021 in a matter of 2 months. So those who have not yet started with their preparation, or those who are looking to revise, like go for a proper revision through these set of classes, they may join this batch. All right. Now below is the set of faculty who will be teaching in this batch, right? So you can join this batch from coming Sunday, and you can contact at this number which is given on your screen, at this number which is given on your screen, and grab the important information. Also, one important thing for the people who are taking CAT 2021. So we have an all India mock coming for all of you. You may register for it, and the mock will start from 28th of September and it will go till 7 days. Okay, so please do register for this all India open mock for CAT 2021. Different CAT courses and other MBA examination courses that we offer here at BYJU'S exam prep. Some online classroom programs, a CAT 21 program for percentile booster course, and a complete course for CAT 2022. So if any one of you is preparing for CAT 2022, you may have a look at this batch. Okay, again I'll mention that for complete details you may contact this number. This is the list of experts that we have on our panel. That's all from my side, my dear friends. I hope you all liked this lecture. Please do press the like button, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, join us on Telegram, and do subscribe this channel. Thank you very much.